Fun. Okay, I think I want to pivot over to a different deck. Now, I meant to build it this morning. I didn't end up having time. But it was a comment that someone made yesterday. I think we can get a little bit weird with it between rounds here. Was talking about persisting the Ambush Viper. And I was thinking about wanting to circle back to the first Ambush Viper deck that we played. We pull it up here. And I wanted to include Archon Persist in addition to the ability to persist the Viper. Where turn 2 Persist Viper seems like it can be pretty dang good. And then also if you're persisting Archon of Cruelty and your goal and you have the Lavaspur Boots to give your Archon haste, then you also have Lavaspur Boots to give Archon of Cruelty haste. So I thought there were some cool overlapping synergy here, but I ended up not getting around to building it. So I do think we're going to move away from the K commands if we're going this direction. And I almost want to... So did I say Ambush Viper? Rottenmouth Viper. Rottenmouth Viper. And I do think that the Monument to Endurance plan can potentially be pretty important so that we could maintain the ability to grind through Graveyard Hate. Although it's possible that we could just have these in the sideboard for the grindier matchups and then have this be our plan A. Yeah, Peter Parker's camera is going to be good. Definitely liked the camera yesterday. I might even be interested in playing more Boots. Not sure if you're playing Opal. You must play Opal in with your cookbook decks. It's just so good, in my opinion. Especially when you have you have Wraith for Asmo for Opal, or Cookbook for Opal, or Saga for Opal to be online. Did we already mention Troll? Seems sick. I think Troll Persist sucks. I'm just really uninterested in it. Usually, it can be good to turn on Asmo. No, I think I'm interested in sideboarding the Monuments. Wait, what did I just drag? Yeah, don't want to main deck that. Don't want to play that at all, actually. Excuse me. I think I'm interested in playing 16 or 17 lands. I think if I'm not main decking the Monument, 16 lands plus the Opals is probably a good number, kind of curving out at 2. Did weapons manufacturing end up being one more? No, but it's not necessarily so good in this build. Although, wait. Yeah, it doesn't trigger off the cookbook being tapped. We sideboard Monument seems less interesting though. I don't know. We might main deck it, but we've sideboarded the Monuments before, and it's kind of tough, I think, to have all 3 plans: the Rottenmouth plan, the Persist plan, and the Monument plan game 1. You could also main deck 2-2 split could be good. This could just be the main deck maybe. The thing is, I kind of want to play more Boots. Is it crazy to play 3 Boots? Probably is, since we've got the Sagas for them. I could see the second Boots being relevant. I could see hasting Archon and Viper on the same turn. It's probably just play 1 Boots. You have very few artifacts who don't draw Cookbook. Okay, you also have Asmo for Cookbook. You have Saga for Cookbook. So you have 12 Cookbooks. So I don't know. I just feel like we've played a ton of Mox Opal decks with just Cookbook as an enabler, and they've been good. And then the Opal's also really good with the Viper. Yeah, camera's worth it. Doubling Saga triggers, Rottenmouth trigger, Archon triggers are all pretty good. I think I'm feeling the 2-2 split of the Monuments main side. You can copy the Asmo ability too. I'm a big hater of Blood Fountain. I know why you'd want to play it. I think that the cookbooks by themselves just do a good enough job giving you enough permanence for Viper. As far as the mana goes... we don't need the Shadowspear. I think sideboarding the spears. I don't want to I agree not main decking it. Yeah, if you copy the Viper trigger, you get the extra counter. Try out Force of Despair for this deck. I'm telling you, Rips. I may be open to sideboarding a couple copies. I don't think I want to main deck it with Asmo and Archon. And Viper to some extent. So, okay, as far as Troll of Khazad-dm goes, Troll triggers Monument, which is good. It triggers Asmo. Technically, you can persist it. I'm a big Troll hater. But I think we should be playing some or Persist Troll trade. I think we just have enough other synergies here. Fetches and Surveil seems like, yeah, I mean, you can play those. You're going to have some Fatal Pushes in the sideboard, which helps. Sorry, I don't know how to spell Khazad-dm. Riot with the 5-pack. 50% off from Bizzle. Thank you so much. So I think 3 Trolls is kind of an okay number. And then I think we're going to go up to 17 lands since we got more tap lands in the deck. And then we can play 1 Surveil land. I do think with all the graveyard synergies, the first Surveil land is going to be good. Maybe blue-black to bluff Consign. Maybe green-black to bluff Haywire Mite. We're not going to actually play either card, I think. Then, like, 5 actual swamps. So we have the Trolls and, like, 3 fetch lands for the 1 Surveil land. No, this deck really wants 4 Daredevil. You just really, really want to be making the tokens. I think we're really, really in on the cookbook plan in this deck. That's true. I have liked Garden in the past with this archetype. It seems like the Garden is better because copying cookbook is pretty relevant with this. So maybe the Garden mana base or Gardens in the mana base means we want to move away from the fetch lands. I don't know that I want to play a Surveil land with just Trolls. Like you do it sometimes, but trolling for Surveil land usually sucks. Maybe 3 Gardens, 3 Troll, 6 Swamps. Kind of like the look of this. Maybe 2. I think it's probably too many colorless lands. Let's play 2 to start with. Okay, so sideboard looks pretty okay. I don't think I probably want to change too much. And one of the questions was like, how did negative content about the set from influencers impact your opinion on the set? I think I'm going to keep this. Yeah, the rewind feature on Twitch seems like it finally works for like the after like not really working for years. How was it worded? It was, how did negative content creators influence your opinion on the Spider-Man set? They also posted the survey on social media to include Reddit. They posted the survey on social media to include Reddit. So Reddit was listed as one of the social medias. I think it is kind of a social media these days. Not a bad top deck. Oh, they posted the survey on socials. Oh, that was also dumb. I don't know. Maybe it was fine, but the question is just like out of touch on many different levels. All right, so let's go to main deck Asmo or main phase Asmo because of mutagenic growths. Yeah, I don't. There was some mention of the Omen Path versus just the Spider-Man, but for me, most of my negative feedback or opinions on the set, it's like almost entirely. Also, punished for playing the Overgrown Tomb immediately. My negative opinion on the set or negative opinions on the set, whatever, almost entirely because of the Omen Paths. So they plot a show off, so maybe going to try to bolt the Asmo. This means we can't quite play the Monument this turn, but it's good that we can play the Monument next turn. Punished with all of our mana choices so far. Doesn't seem much reason to not attack. If the Asmo's alive, we can kill their creatures, and if it's dead, we can't block with it anyways. The set seems somewhat lackluster, but it's not something I would care about. There have been mess sets before, it's fine. My disagreement's entirely because they did not pay for online lessening. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think that's just been such a disaster. Die, Channeler. Well, feeling pretty good this game now that we get to untap with the Monument. going to be prioritizing card draw and mana off this first so I can sack stuff to gain food, or sack clues to gain, sack foods to gain life if my Asmo dies. So go make a treasure, draw a card, pass the turn. And then 2 more monument triggers on our opponent's turn. And then if my Asmo lives, we can just go for the kill with the monument. Or, yeah, I can't quite go for the kill as is. If I drew like another monument or a gardens, then we could pivot into damage. Yeah, it's weird that Spider-Man wasn't a commander set too, despite being just infinite legendary creatures. Also, like, I know we don't have a ton of commander players in the chat, but I'm sure we have some. But like, do commander players really care about like all of like the like little dopey common and uncommon creatures? Like, I don't know how how much they care to include like these, just like how many people are making a commander out of these like random cards. Maybe it's happening somewhat. Some do. I'm sure some do, but like, is it really enough of a force to have like this much of a focus be on it? It doesn't really make that much sense. Maybe I'm just totally off base though, because it's not my area of expertise. Copy that. According to Rosewasser, historically, yes. Okay. Then I might just be totally wrong. Okay, rewarded for playing the Shadowspear, because I do want this against Prowess. I got to keep the boots in every matchup. We're going to bring in the pushes. Usually I care a lot about Thoughtseize against Prowess because of Corey's Steel Cutter. I do think the Monument was very good that game, but I think it's not a very good plan against Prowess in general. So I think I'm going to go down the Monuments and the Thoughtseize in the draw. Might bring this back in on the play, I guess. Gonna mulligan a bit more aggressively. The only Spider-Man legend I'm considering is Green Goblin, the Norman Osmond Green Goblin. The Fleam, as it's known in the Omen Paths. Short version, yes, but you'll never get a good representation of Placer. Yeah, that's fair. Again, it's not really my world, so it's always cool to get a little peek in there. So this hand could discard Archon of Cruelty to hand size. We also have Fatal Push and Thoughtseize. I think I should keep this. They made it a standard legal set that made all the interesting engines legendary, so you can't build any sort of consistency into a standard deck. I wouldn't necessarily say no consistency, but certainly less. Okay, so we're going to play the Saga turn 1 so we can get Cookbook, and then we'll lead on the Bauble here, I guess. What's the challenge list? We played the green-black rock deck, and unfortunately O2'd. We got Leyline Scioned pretty bad by Domain Zoo and got really flooded game 3 against Affinity. Why would we discard a hand size when we could instead Thoughtseize yourself? We might want to Thoughtseize them to get through Spell Pierce, and if we're missing land drops, like if you could Thoughtseize yourself if we drew the land on turn 1, right? But if we don't draw the land turn 1, and we're gonna miss like 2 land drops, it's kind of good to be able to Thoughtseize them sometimes. But you could Thoughtseize yourself. Drawing the Saga, this line becomes kind of the clear one. Thank you, Vexing Bauble. You've been so good to me lately. I'm pretty sure I want to cast... I guess if I draw Black Source, we don't need to cast Thoughtseize this turn. I drew Cookbook. So I could now get Mox Opal off the Saga. So I could go Thoughtseize next turn. Which I think I'm pretty interested in doing so that... if my opponent like top decks a Surgical or Spell Pierce, we can get it instead of just trying to get it out of their hand here. Although the Surgical, I guess, is already checked by the Bauble. So I think I'm going to draw a card instead of pushing here. Okay, and so now that I've drawn this Mox Opal, I can Thoughtseize to try to play around Surgical or potentially Spell Pierce, get another Cookbook, and then have the mana to persist the Archon without ever exposing the Archon to the graveyard hate or counter magic. Although, like if I discarded the Archon now, we wouldn't care about Spell Pierce, of course. Do you think organized play tournament support survives another 5+ years? Truly, those resources have been really alluring to redistribute. I don't know. Like I'll say that as someone who's been in the competitive space for years. There's always a lot of people. Okay, didn't play well around Consign on the Saga trigger. Hard to play around, maybe. So I don't have Metalcraft for the Opal. I think we'll try to set up for Thoughtseize on Archon, but I think we'll just push the Swifty this turn. That was tough. They flip it in Holy Heat to this iteration, which is a brick. Then they play a Channeler. 2 cards in their hand. Channeler Delirious. Dang, that was such a good play by them, the meltdown there. Well, let's make every player here's favorite play. Thoughtseize our own Archon of Cruelty. And close our eyes. Yeah, so like as far as competitive play, things have gotten a lot better over the last 2 years, 3 years. They hired Huey Jensen. The Pro Tour came back. The Spotlight Series is here. We have regional championships. Compare this to COVID when everything was just online play, and even when COVID was dying down, it took a long time to get organized play to come back. It is a big driver for the Magic Cons too. A lot of people there are there to play tournaments, even if most people are there to play casually. There is also kind of on a bigger level, there is a dynamic at Magic the Gathering's business model that the reason why your cards have any value at all is because you need to purchase official copies to play in official tournaments. If you are purchasing, there's not really much reason to purchase an official copy of a card instead of proxying it if you're just going to play Commander casually with your friends. There's not really a purpose necessarily. All right, let's see if they got anything. Nope. Maybe they have heat. They do have heat. Yeah, I talked about this. I didn't discard Archon so I could try to play around Surgical, and I felt pretty good about the line. Did not play well around Meltdown into Consign. Or the Melt. We already had the Meltdown in stack, but didn't play well around Consign on the Saga. This way I could have Thoughtseize first. Or yeah, the RCs I got taken over by SG, which is better than DreamHack, so I'd encourage not to doom and gloom so much about the state of competitive play, organized play at the moment, because things have gotten better. The Modern's gotten better. Things have gotten a lot better in that regard over the years. So, I think things will be good for the foreseeable future in that regard. It also might not be. This is the Magic the Gathering is not going to live forever. But things are good now, and I think we can enjoy it while we can. All right, so just a Fatal Push this turn. I don't think there's much reason to play into counter magic by not main phasing. Very weird game. But now it continues exposed. That makes no sense. We're talking about the Archon thing, because I was before they consigned my Saga trigger. Again, I was able to Thoughtseize their hand before I went for the Persist. I've never Thoughtseized my own Ovalchase Daredevil before. That's a first for me. This is a first for me. Wasn't there speculation Huey was going to make an announcement sometime soon? I haven't seen anything about that. But I also beyond this conversation at all, just moving away a little bit from this. Oh. Okay, that's tough. Moving away from this conversation a little bit. It is not an effective use of your time to worry if Magic the Gathering is going to die in 5 years. It's not an effective use of your time to stress about how Wizards might fuck things up. There are so many other things you could be stressed about instead. that are better use of your mental energy. All right, down to 3. Probably going to go to game 3 here. Technically not dead. Oh, I didn't drop from the challenge, looks like. All right, game 3. Do I want to bring in the monuments? They have a lot of consigns, so I guess not. Let me not play the Spellbomb. I'm going to play the 4th Thoughtseize. The SCG Baltimore event looks nice when I see. No clue what standard is these days, but impressive price support reminds me of GPDs. Yeah, I guess I haven't looked at the price support. But I'm excited to get to attend some of these events next year. So this hand's really good if it draws a Viper, really good if it draws an Asmo. I think that we're just so in on Cookbook in this deck. I'm okay keeping this. I simply like looking at trends and processing the future. That's fair, yeah. It's good that you're not, as long as you're not stressed, that's all that matters. Yeah, if my opponent's playing again this like more reactive game plan too, this kind of hand can maybe be better. Although it is kind of draw dependent maybe. Or it just is. Well, I guess I should have played around Surgical by tapping the Cookbook in response to the Channeler. Okay, it's funny how good this Vexing Bauble could have been against the Surgical. So yeah, them surveilling the Steel Cutter either means they have land second Steel Cutter or they don't have a second land. So they surveil a consign. They'll probably find their second land off this if they don't have it already. This is Delirium for them also. 1 on top, 1 on bottom. Fiery Islet played. Aspiring Spike down to 17. Don't want to hold the second Cookbook in case of meltdown. I think I wanted to play it because of Viper. And there's the Viper. So I'm going to play my Takenuma. I'm going to sacrifice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Might just get Unholy Heated. Viper would have been better if I had more foods in play, but the Surgical got me. I'm probably the minority of players in the sense that I only care about sets that interest me personally and ignore the rest. And the increase of Universe Beyond doesn't bother me. If WotC's a company, companies like to make money. Universe Beyond is clearly doing for them. Yeah, no, I agree. I'll say that I'm kind of the same way in the sense that I just care about modern cards coming from standard sets right now, and so that's pretty easy thing to digest at the moment. Oof. Viper's kind of Cannoneer at home. I think it's been better than Cannoneer in a lot of spots. Also lets you, like, you know, has more synergy with stuff like Persist and weapons than Kappa Cannoneer does. And they have Meltdown. Oh my gosh. Okay, I guess we were never beating this. That was so gross. It's really good if we... Sorry, we're going to discard outlet for the Archon. See about maybe keeping on the draw with the Wraith and the... Okay, so we can Persist or Viper on turn 3. Maybe a little sooner if we're lucky. Draw Cookbook. Maybe we can make a Saga token turn 2. Probably not. Merfolk God is not playing Merfolk. We've entered the Urabrask bracket. The survey, in my opinion, the weird leading questions about influencer coverage. Yeah, but I mean, they apologized explicitly for that. So to say they're not willing to accept criticism and change, you know, seems like it's not completely fair, right? So we're attacking them for 9 next turn down to 6. So they could theoretically take 4 more damage from the Viper, but then they'll have to discard a card, and then, you know, they're dead next turn. Or they're just going to concede. Is Storm just good right now? Urabrask aside. Needle tends to be better than Vexing Bauble. It's better against Flipper out because they can't activate any of the abilities. Monument too slow on this matchup. I do think I want the Mite. Been told it's in a pretty bad spot generally. Yeah, it's like, what is it about the metagame that makes Storm bad? Because it is good against Titan, good against Boros. I think it should be fine against, okay, my Thoughtseize herself in the Archon again. I would think that it's fine against Goryo's. I would think it's like fine against Affinity, but maybe, like, I'm sure I'm missing one of those angles is wrong, right? Too many forces going around. I guess I just always felt like when I was playing Storm, force of negation wasn't that bad of a thing to exist. Yeah, we had a rough challenge. Lost to Leyline Scion pretty bad. Lost to pretty bad Flood. Why Belcher good but Storm bad? Yeah, I guess that's the question. Although Belcher isn't doing very well, so maybe that's not exactly the right question to be asking. Mountain off the Rin's resolve here. Plays one of the mountains, is going to lose the other. It has an artist talent and the passing of a turn. Let's get our opponent down a card, down 8 life. Very unlikely that anything else we do this game matters. Kind of all on our opponent to cobble together a win with 4 cards in their hand and an artist talent. Consign everywhere doesn't help. We're talking about Belcher, or we're talking about Belcher, I'm sure, instead of Storm. So they discard a Wish. Then they level up the artist talent, 3 cards. Then they ritual 2 cards in hand. So the hand's probably pretty good if they're discarding the Wish. Okay, they discard Past in Flames. Currently costs 4 to flash back. Then they Rin's Resolve. They hit a... why is this in their deck? Urabrask, and then they also hit Shattering Spree. But then they drew the Manamorphose off the loot because they wouldn't have cast the Rin's Resolve if they had it. Now they need to hit a ritual off the Manamorphose lest they die. And they die. Okay. Interested in saving the Persist for an Archon or a Snake, though. My opponent's playing Glimpse combo. But yes, Bissell is the new sponsor. Yeah, Modern RC this weekend. Has anyone tried Electro? I mean, I think Electro is also worse than Bergie, which is also not playable. It's like, there's just like a weird hierarchy. Okay, maybe they're not. Maybe they're like Cauldron combo of some kind. So I'm just going to discard the Ovalchase Daredevil. And then I'll persist the Troll if I don't find anything else to do here. Whole lot of nothing to do. I'm not playing a Surveil land. We don't have any actual fetches in the deck, and so I typically don't think that a Surveil land is enough for just the trolls. I usually don't. I think it's more negative than positive. Surveilling for or fetching for surveilling can be pretty tough unless you have like an opal draw with no action like this. Exactly. We're playing one Overgrown Tomb though for our one Haywire Mite in the side. RST stands for Regional Championship. It's part of the organized play pipeline. I mean, I'm not sure how they're going to get this to 6 toughness here, but I'm going to block. Like even if even if they surveil a creature into the yard. All right, it's opposite day with the 10 gifted subs, 50% off thanks to Bissell. If we got a gifted sub from opposite day, make sure to thank them. And if you want to get your 50% off subs, I think we've got like 5 minutes left. This is the last Bissell day too, so your last chance. They get a Golgari Rot Farm, picking up a Colony Garden. Then they repassed. Okay, then they repassed the white. Well, that was a hard card to play around. We do draw the best possible, which is good news usually. It'll be kind of interesting to see how Sylvan Safekeeper gets involved here. Would you be up a land if you cycled the troll instead of discarding the book? Yeah, that's true, I would be. Mr. Tasty with the 5-pack, thank you so much. I do really appreciate all the gifted subs that have come from the campaign, of course, in general, but also because it's going to make the honeymoon a lot more relaxing knowing that this basically just kind of compensates for the 2 weeks I'm taking off. So they play a Mortuary. They have Dryad Arbor in their hand, and they've got 3 other mystery cards over there. Oh wait, no, the Dryad Arbor is in the graveyard because they sacked it to the whites. They picked up the Mortuary with the Rot Farm? I thought that's what they picked up with the Rot Farm. Do you think R&D was aware of the Ovalchase interaction when designing Asmo and Cookbook? I think so. I was friends with a guy who no longer works on the play design team, who was from the local area, and I remember asking him like what his favorite card in the set was, and he said it was Cookbook. And so I don't know if they specifically had the Ovalchase Daredevil stuff. Maybe not that specific interaction, but I do think that they expected Cookbook to be like a good modern card. Has Shadowspear to give your own creature lifelink then targeting with the Asmo ability ever come up? It has come up, not in this deck, but we played a lot of Asmo decks. I think it's come up most when we play a build with Feasting Troll King, because then your Feasting Troll King even just lives survives the Asmo activation. Nissa. Nissa concede, alright. Well, the deck seems super weak to Asmo. Not a lot of removal and a lot of creatures. Definitely the ideal formula for us. I do think they're going to have a ton of graveyard hate post board. Actually, even am kind of interested in cutting my Persist plan completely. I don't know if I have enough cards to bring in, though. The Ashiok Ashioks don't seem that bad against them. I don't usually say that either. Didn't mean to drag this away. Let's try this. It's maybe too many Ashioks, but I think like boarding into a plan that doesn't care that much about graveyard disruption is going to be pretty nice when we expect our opponent to play a lot of graveyard disruption. And then I think it's time. Our last Bissell ad read of the campaign. It has been a very fun sponsorship. I think that the gifted subs are expiring, or the sub discount is just. Oh. It says I have to wait like 30 seconds. Hold on. Okay, not quite time yet. Been a really cool campaign though. Came at a really ideal time, pre-wedding too. It's always like so stressful to take like 2 weeks off, but thanks to Bissell, I have a very relaxing honeymoon. All right, here we go. Thank you so much for this ad campaign, Bissell. It's been very fun to work with y'all. I just want to shout out one more time, one more for the road. The Little Green Mini, our viral Little Green machine, just got minified from Bissell, America's #1 brand in portable deep cleaning. Comes the Little Green Mini Portable Deep Cleaner, our newest machine in the cutest little package. And guess what? It's just as strong as our viral best-selling original. With over 2 million sold, our original Little Green machine is America's #1 portable deep cleaner, always at the ready to spill clean spots and stains from an entire couch without interruptions, which is definitely the case. Definitely been my experience with it. Really effective. Fun-sized and fully loaded, ready to be your stain-fighting sidekick to spray, scrub, and suction away life's oopsie messes. Bissell doesn't just clean up after pets, they help save them too. When you buy a Bissell product, every purchase saves pets through Bissell support of BISSSE, which is their anti-pet homeless charity, which is very cool. $95 on Amazon. Thank you, Bissell. And sadly, the end. Right on time for the match. Thank you, opponent, for giving me the time to do our last ad read. Maybe they could be a permanent sponsor. Maybe I don't know. You know, as Esther is, you know, funny enough, we kind of have complementary careers to some extent, where she's in marketing research, and so she kind of tells me a little bit about how like companies will structure their campaigns like this for specific quarters, and how like she theorizes how they have advertising budgets for different time periods. We don't have the most overlap, I guess, but it's kind of fun. Green Sun for 1, and maybe Corian Ranger. Nice. So untap the Hierarch, pick up the Overgrown Tomb. They can play a 2-drop. Haywire Mite to get rid of my Saga. Dang, I thought they were the one with 1 land in play. So I do want to save the Wraith for the Monument turn. I think I'm going to try to find something to do this turn, like a Thoughtseize or an Asmo instead. And then maybe instead of playing the Monument next turn, we play the Ashiok. And maybe my other Saga dies. Okay, Lotus Cobra. So now they have 3 more mana this turn. Untapping the Hierarch, playing the land, getting the landfall trigger. I do think Lotus Cobra is a card we could be looking at closer again. When we were playing it in our Ice Till Brews, it was really consistently great. Consistently a great card. We've got 3 cards in hand. Drawing Cookbook at really awkward time. I think we're going to just cast our Ashiok. Not going to minus so that it can survive. I guess it would survive an attack anyways. Still not going to minus. Those cover with a new card, Mutable Explorer. That's the invitational card, right? Or not I guess it's PT card now, not invitational. Endurance? They do have endurance. So Ashiok is gonna die. I don't think I've ever seen Corian Ranger activate on both turns, like just to cast like a flash spell before. Pretty cool. You know what? I'm gonna go add to my list. We need to circle back to Corian Ranger Alesha. Because I that might have been like the way to build these decks too. All right, I think I'm gonna go to game 3. Or not Alesha, Ashaya. I feel like I always say Ashaya and Alesha backwards. I say Lavinia and Linvala backward half the time. It's like Alesha. I think that's it. The big 5-mana green elemental. No, this is Alesha. Ashaya. Shaya. Maybe there's another A here. A Shia who smiles at death. Yeah, so this turns your Quarian Ranger into a forest. And so you get to go like tap a creature for a mana, pick up the Quarian Ranger, and then replay the Quarian Ranger over and over and over again. And then this can trigger landfall infinite times, so it's like infinite mana with your Lotus Cobra. It's infinite mills with your Ice Till Explorer. It's infinite creatures with Nantuko. Yeah, almost greedily kept the double Street Wraith hand here. Yeah, it can't persist. I mean, it wouldn't be for this show. It'd be for the mono green Ice Till show. And so it would be a one of that you're playing in like a Court of Calling show. And so I think it's kind of interesting. Another dynamic is that it might be interesting with Fanatic of Ronus in general, where Ashaya just gives you a big thing to ramp into. Yeah, so and another infinite mana sink, and you can Woodlands it. So there's definitely some interesting overlap. In addition, of course, to Quarian Ranger just kind of being an all right card to play. Maybe that's a good reason to play the Tanuk. I think a lot of people don't know about the Tanuk, but it's a red-green creature that landfalls for a damage. Kind of minor, but with infinite landfall, that's infinite damage. Thoughts on Beseech Soul Trader? I feel like it has game. I'm not a big fan of playing Halo Forager with only 2 living ends, I guess. You could go more in on it. I think I hate the main deck Culling Ritual, but I guess I get it. Could be in the sideboard. I think I would definitely play the 4th Bowmaster instead. But it looks like an interesting angle. I like the Phyrexian Towers with the Beseeches a lot, actually. What I'm playing. Pretty slow. I think they're probably pretty cold to Rottenmouth. Forager's just a besiege target if you end up milling both living ends. Okay. That sells me, I think. I think it looks pretty cool. I wonder if you could do Carnage combo instead of Soul Trader. Probably not. We're about to get Assassin's trophied. There's no way we get Assassin's trophied here. Okay. There was indeed a no way. I don't really know how they're taking this long on their turns though. What they're thinking about. Yeah, I like that Soul Trader and Apprentice are both bargainable, which is why I think you can't do it with the Carnage combo stuff. What's Carnage combo? We've been playing it a little bit this week. We have a couple 3/2s with it, our only 2 leagues. Okay, Grist gets its revenge here. But if you Carnage the new card, I don't know what the in-universe name of it is, but if you Carnage your Phantasmal Image, you get infinite ETBs and infinite death triggers. And then typically you win with like a Sephiroth or a Marionette Apprentice. Yeah, Desecrax. Hit the mill of Yavimaya. Rumble over Springheart Nantuko and White of the Reliquary. Also 2 lands. Pretty cooked this game. The image can target itself with return ability? Yes, because with the way the legend rule works, you have to pick which legend you're keeping before you pick sorry, hold on. So I think they're gonna block and sack with the Haywire Mite. So weirdly enough, let's just remove the Haywire Mite targets. Well, then they just get to minus the Grist again. Maybe that was better. Yeah, I think I just actually need to get the Grist off the field. Yeah, so yeah, but the way the legend rule works is you pick which legend you keep before you put a trigger target on the stack for the ETB, which means that it could return itself, which is pretty cool. Well, loses 4, right? So hopefully this cashes in the grist, and then they don't have that much action after this. But we're kind of cooked. We do have a push for the white of the reliquary we know about. I guess I play around an undying effect. I don't know. We saw that they have the +1/+1 indestructible. It's dismember. Okay. I think I'll concede to dismember. All right, tough challenge, tough brew. Back Monday. Monday, because it's going to be the last week of normal streams. Next week should be completely normal with maybe me taking Friday off, but should be a pretty normal week over here.